In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Hello everybody, hope you are doing great. You're watching FOADEBATE. This week, the world witnessed a series of major events that prove the unipolar order is rapidly collapsing. From America's weak bargaining with Putin to Malaysia's rejection of American helicopters, from China and India's dominance of Russia's oil trade to the turmoil of Western policy in Ukraine, each event reveals the obsolescence of the traditional tools of Western hegemony. Here and now, power is shifting eastward, and new players are rewriting the rules. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken recently expressed hope for concessions from Vladimir Putin in future negotiations.
I understand you can't get into specifics in a public conversation, but we're looking at Russian troops and strikes intensifying. Did you hear anything from Vladimir Putin that indicated he is willing to make a single concession?
Well, I think there are a couple. They were not enough for Ukraine. If not, we would be announcing a peace deal this morning, right? But certainly there are some things we noticed changes. There are some changes that I think are possible. I think there's some concepts that were discussed that could potentially lead to something. But again, all these things have to be verifiable. It isn't real until it's real. One thing is what you say you might be willing to consider. Another thing is your willingness to do it. And it always becomes a trade-off in all of this. But you talk about the intensifying strikes on the Russian side. Yeah, they're full-time war machine. That's what's happening. The Russian economy has basically been turned into a full-time wartime economy. They have a lot of people. It's a big country. It's not just large geographically. It has huge populations. It continues to churn through people. They lost 20,000 Russian soldiers were killed last month in July in this war. That just tells you the price they're willing to pay. I'm not saying any of this is admirable. I'm saying that this is the reality of the war that we're facing. It's become attrition in some ways. It's a meat grinder, and they just have more meat to grind.
The statement comes as Russia has made significant military advances in Ukraine, and its economy has resisted Western sanctions through cooperation with China and India. The news exposes America's strategic weakness in dealing with Russia, and its attempt to gain more concessions is a sign of its inability to exert more pressure. The event highlights the shifting balance of global power and Russia's emergence as a key player on the international stage. Malaysia's cancellation of a deal to buy America's Black Hawk helicopters in favor of Russian military equipment highlights the decline in the credibility of Western military systems as another major event. The decision comes at a time when many countries are turning to Russian and Chinese equipment due to Western sanctions and security concerns. It shows that Russia has strengthened its position in global markets by providing advanced equipment at competitive prices, which indicates a shift in the global balance of military powers. This event highlights the decline in Western influence and the emergence of Russia as a key player in the military sphere. In other news, China and Russia have taken an important step towards strengthening bilateral cooperation by signing a new economic agreement. The agreement includes increased energy trade, joint infrastructure development projects, and facilitating financial exchanges between the two countries. The event shows that this cooperation will not only strengthen the economies of both countries, but also act as a strategic alliance against Western economic pressure. Again, this action highlights the shifting balance of global economic power and the emergence of China and Russia as key players on the international stage. The Trump-Zelensky meeting, along with the presence of European leaders at White House, is a topic I would like to discuss in detail. In fact, this event has once again shown that the United States is unreliable and sees its allies as nothing more than playing cards, forcing them to beg for its security and interests. Recently, we have seen a number of European leaders, including the President of France, the Prime Minister of Italy, the Chancellor of Germany, the Prime Minister of Britain, and the President of Finland, travel to United States, along with the President of Ukraine and the Secretary General of NATO, to meet with Donald Trump. The main focus of the meeting was the future prospect of the Ukraine war and the possibility of a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. The meeting, which took place shortly after the Alaska summit, attended by the President of the United States and Russia, was met with mixed reactions. According to many observers and analysts in the field of international relations, the meeting between European leaders and Trump contains important messages that, if understood, could provide valuable lessons for other nations. In this regard, 4 key points can be mentioned. Europe and begging for security from America could be the first outcome of this meeting. The European powers, whose leaders recently visited the United States, have long presented themselves as prominent players in the international arena. However, the world witnessed that after the Alaska summit, they rushed to Washington, fearing that their security and interest would be jeopardized. By aligning themselves with Ukraine, they tried to convey to the US President the message that he should also consider the interest and security of Europe. That's ridiculous. In simple terms, they tried to create a balance against Russia in the eyes of the US President. Meanwhile, the truly powerful actors on the international stage rely on their own power to ensure their security, something European leaders shown in their meeting with Trump that they lack. The second lesson to be learned from this meeting is the deep distrust of the Europeans in the United States. The fact that, according to many analysts, a range of European leaders flocked to the United States shortly after the Alaska summit indicates one thing. They were worried that the United States might have negotiated their security behind closed doors and betrayed them. This kind of distrust had already been experienced by Europeans during the US administration's tariff and trade wars. Thus, it became clear once again that the US administration does not spare even its strategic allies in the international arena, and its allies continue to deeply distrust its policies and hide their concerns behind diplomatic smiles. Simply put, the recent meeting of European leaders and Trump showed that trust in the United States is one of the weakest propositions in international relations and can be very costly for overly optimistic individuals. And the third lesson is to demonstrate Europe's true weight in international politics. The fact that Europeans demand security from the United States and consider it the main player in security their interests, which revolve around the war in Ukraine, shows how far European states have fallen in the international balance of power. Interestingly, the same European states that are unable to manage the war in Ukraine are consistently threatening independent countries like Iran, that are standing up to their enemies by relying on their power. The recent humiliating image of European leaders sitting on ordinary chair in front of the US President's desk have become a tangible manifestation of Europe's humiliation in the eyes of world public opinion. This has proven once again that if power is not generated from inside, it cannot be productive for nations and states, placing them not in decisive positions, but in passive and dependent roles. But the repeated humiliation of Ukraine can teach the world another lesson. During the recent meeting between European leaders and Trump, we once again witnessed the repeated humiliation of the Ukrainian people. Apart from some American media outlets attacking the Ukrainian president on camera and even mocking him for various reasons such as criticizing his suits or clothes, we clearly saw the US president telling the Ukrainian president that he should give up parts of his country and that he should not expect Ukraine to win the war against Russia. These issues become a bitter reality when we consider that it was the United States that was the main instigator of the Ukrainian war, and that during this conflict, using the blood of Ukrainian soldiers and civilians sought to weaken Russia politically and economically and also strategically. Now it is ordering the Ukrainians to give up their land and sign a ceasefire with Russia. From a broader perspective, this once again proves that a nation that relies on, this is important, this is very important, we have to listen carefully. A nation that relies on the United States or entrusts its fate to it is more like sacrificial meat than a strategic ally for Washington. I hope you found this video informative and inspiring. If you enjoyed the content, please share it with your friends and support me by subscribing to my channel and turning on the notification bell. Share your thoughts and suggestions in the comments section so that I can create better content for you. I'm doing my best to present to you every week the important events of the week with the themes of the decline of unipolarity or unipolar hegemony and the system of domination. So be sure to follow my channel and introduce it to your friends who are interested in this field so that we can have an active partnership together and move toward a world without domination. Until the next video, take care of yourself and have a great day.